The 2025 Indiana Colts they were a complete paradox. Seriously, for the first 10 weeks of the season, they looked like an absolute juggernaut. We're talking Super Bowl contender level. But for the final 7 weeks, a total, unmitigated disaster. So today, we're going to break down this team of two completely different tales, how they flew so high, why they crashed and burned so hard, and what it all means for their future. This really is the story of the NFL's biggest what if.
But here's the part that'll make you scratch your head. Despite that epic 0-7 collapse to finish the season, the rest of the league isn't writing them off. An anonymous AFC executive actually told ESPN the Colts are, and I quote, closer than people might think. Now, how is that even possible? That right there, that's the mystery we're going to unravel today. We're going to dig into exactly what that executive saw in those first 10 dominant weeks and figure out if the Colts are for real. A sleeping giant just waiting to wake up and finally take back the AFC South.
Hey, welcome to NFL Nexus, the place where we go deep on the stories that are really shaping the league. If you're into this kind of detailed breakdown, do me a huge favor. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and of course, like this explainer. And hey, as we get into it, I really want to hear from you. Based on what you saw last season, are the 2026 Colts contenders, or are they just pretenders? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm genuinely curious to see what you all think.
All right, here's our game plan. First, we'll look at the Colts' incredible first half of the season, the proof of concept, if you will. Then, we're going to zoom in on the guy who is the engine behind it all, Jonathan Taylor, and we have to investigate that shocking award snub. After that, we'll pinpoint the exact moment everything fell apart. And finally, we'll look ahead and figure out what the Colts have to do to get back on top.
Okay, first things first, let's talk about that proof of concept that had the entire league buzzing. Because for 10 straight weeks, the Indianapolis Colts weren't just a pretty good team. No, they were playing like a real, legitimate threat in the AFC. This was the stretch of games that put everybody on notice and really built the foundation for that executive's quote. This is exactly why this team is such a fascinating puzzle. I mean, just look at this split. It is absolutely jarring. Through 10 games, they're sitting pretty at 8-2. The offense, under coach Shane Steichen, is this beautiful model of efficiency. They are firmly in the driver's seat for a division title. The whole vibe around this team was they finally figured it out. They've arrived. And then the floor just completely falls out from under them. The final 7 games are a total 180, an 0-7 train wreck marked by a complete and total offensive collapse. And just like that, poof, the season's over. It's one of the most dramatic in-season meltdowns I can remember, and it just begs the question, was that 8-2 start the real Colts, or was the 0-7 finish the reality?
So what was the secret sauce during that incredibly 8-2 run? Well, it was kind of like a perfect storm of execution. For starters, Daniel Jones was playing some incredibly smart, efficient football. He wasn't turning the ball over, he was making the right reads, and that just kept the offense humming along right on schedule. And because of that, the entire system was just clicking. They were moving the ball with ease and, most importantly, finishing drives with touchdowns. But listen, it was far from a one-man show. The supporting cast really stepped up. You had guys like Michael Pittman Jr. and Josh Downs making tough, contested catches and creating those big chunk plays downfield. And it was all orchestrated perfectly by Shane Steichen's offensive scheme, which used all this creative motion and different formations to get his guys in the best possible position to succeed. They had a clear identity, a powerful one, and man, was it working.
But look, while all those pieces were absolutely critical, at the very heart of that high-powered offense was one man, Jonathan Taylor. He wasn't just another part of the machine, he was the engine. He was the sun that the entire Colts offensive solar system revolved around. And to really truly understand their success and their eventual failure, you have to start by understanding his massive, monumental impact.
We hear that term workhorse back thrown around all the time in today's NFL, but in 2025, Jonathan Taylor was the literal textbook definition. This is more than just getting a lot of carries. It means you are the focal point of everything. You're the one grinding out those tough yards on 3rd and 2, you're the one punching it in for a touchdown in the red zone, and you're the one bleeding the clock in the 4th quarter to seal a win. In an era of running back committees and specialization, Taylor was an old-school, elite, do-it-all back.
Just look at this number for a second. 20. 20 all-purpose touchdowns. That didn't just lead all the running backs in the league. It was more than any other player in the entire National Football League in 2025. Just let that sink in. When the Colts got inside the 20-yard line, every single person in the stadium, the fans, the defense, the hot dog vendors, they all knew the ball was going to number 28. And even when defenses sold out completely to stop him, they still couldn't do it. That's a whole other level of dominance.
And it wasn't just about the flashy touchdowns, it was about the relentless week-in, week-out grind of pure yardage. He churned out almost 1,600 yards on the ground. That made it his second straight season with over 1,400 yards. In today's NFL, where running back by committee is the standard, Taylor was a true throwback. He shouldered this immense workload and delivered consistently every single Sunday. And here's the breakdown of that league-leading touchdown total. A truly staggering 18 of them came on the ground, with another 2 through the air just for good measure. Now this definitely shows he's versatile, but it really hammers home his primary value. He was, without a doubt, the most effective goal line and red zone weapon in all of football. That knack for turning yards into points is what separates the really good players from the truly great ones. Let's just pause for a moment and really soak in the full scope of his season. He led the entire NFL in four critical categories. First in rushing attempts, which just shows his incredible durability. First in rushing touchdowns, and first in all-purpose touchdowns, proving he was the league's #1 scorer. And maybe the most telling stat of all, first in rushing first downs, showing he was the guy who kept the offense on the field. He wasn't just the engine, he was the entire driving force of the Colts offense, period. So with a season like that, leading the league in 4 major categories and basically carrying your offense on your back, you'd think Jonathan Taylor would be an absolute lock for the Offensive Player of the Year award, right? Or at the very least, a finalist. Well, unbelievably, he wasn't even nominated as a finalist. And that snub? Oh boy. It sparked a huge debate all across the league about what that award is even supposed to represent.
So let's just look at the tail of the tape, okay? Here are Taylor's stats right next to the 2 running backs who were named finalists, Bijan Robinson and Christian McCaffrey. The numbers, well, they're pretty stark. Taylor has more rushing yards than both of them. He has more than double the rushing touchdowns of Bijan Robinson and a whopping 8 more than Christian McCaffrey. And his 20 total touchdowns led this group too. I mean, if the award is about pure production as a runner and as a scorer, it's not even a contest. So what gives?
The whole debate really just boils down to philosophy. Taylor's case is built on his sheer, undeniable dominance as a pure runner and scorer. The argument for a guy like Christian McCaffrey, though, is all about his versatility. With over 900 receiving yards and 7 receiving TDs, he was basically operating as a Pro Bowl wide receiver out of the backfield. So the question for voters becomes, what do you value more? The old-school workhorse who carries the entire rushing attack for his team, or the modern dual-threat weapon? There's no single right answer, of course, but to say Taylor didn't even belong in the conversation, that just seems like a massive stretch, to put it mildly. And this quote right here from Drake Wally of Sports Illustrated, it just sums up the entire argument for Taylor perfectly. It's all about value. You see, while Christian McCaffrey was a superstar on a team full of superstars in San Francisco, you could make a really powerful case that Jonathan Taylor was the Colts offense. His gravity, his presence, it bent the entire defense and opened up everything else for everybody else. Without him, that 8-2 start it doesn't happen. It's that simple.
And unfortunately for the Colts, we all got a first-hand look at what their offense looked like when its engine was taken away. The second half of the season provided this brutal, real-time case study in just how valuable Taylor really was, as a single injury to another key player sent the whole team into a catastrophic nosedive.
This timeline, it tells the whole sad story. For 10 weeks, the Colts are flying high at 8-2. Life is good. Then in Week 11 against the Titans, the first domino falls. Daniel Jones fractures his fibula. Now he tries to play through it, but his mobility is completely shot. 3 weeks later, the knockout blow. Jones tears his Achilles tendon in practice, and just like that, his season is officially over. The result? A disastrous 0-7 finish. And as you can see, Jonathan Taylor's historic production just completely vanished. So why was this one injury so uniquely devastating to the whole team? Well, it's all about defensive strategy. See, with a mobile quarterback like a healthy Daniel Jones, a defense has to hesitate. The linebackers can't just crash downhill without thinking because they have to respect the threat of the QB pulling the ball and taking off. That split second of hesitation, that's everything. But with an immobile quarterback, first a hobbled Jones and then his backups, that threat is completely gone. So defenses could then stack the box, putting 8, sometimes even 9 guys near the line of scrimmage with one single goal in mind: stop Jonathan Taylor at all costs. The Colts' primary weapon was neutralized, and the entire offense had absolutely no counterpunch.
And this brings us all the way back to that anonymous executive's quote from the beginning. He wasn't looking at the 0-7 collapse. He was looking at the 8-2 formula. And more importantly, he understood the reason for the collapse. So for the Colts, the path forward isn't about blowing the whole thing up. It's not about some grand reinvention. It's about restoration. It's about getting back to what works so well.
So their off-season checklist is actually pretty straightforward. Number 1, first and foremost, Daniel Jones has to make a full recovery. An Achilles tear is a brutal injury for anybody, but for a quarterback whose mobility is a key part of his game, full recovery means getting that pocket presence back, not just being able to take a drop back. Second, they have got to protect that investment by adding quality depth along the offensive line. You just can't let your season hinge on one single injury again. Third, you got to retain your core guys. Keeping a veteran leader like cornerback Kenny Moore too and other key free agents is huge for continuity. If they can do those 3 things, the AFC South, which is pretty volatile with the Texans, Jaguars, and Titans all facing their own questions, is absolutely wide open for the taking.
And hey, as we start to wrap up, a really quick and easy way to support the channel and all the work we do here is by checking out our exclusive NFL coloring books. Seriously, they're designed to be great for fans of all ages, kids, grandkids, even adults. You can find the link for them down in the description or just scan the QR code right there on your screen. Your support is so greatly appreciated, and it really helps us keep these deep dives coming your way.
So we're right back where we started. The Colts have shown they have the talent, they've shown they have the coaching scheme, and in Jonathan Taylor, they have a true, bona fide superstar to build this whole thing around. The formula's there, we've seen it work. But, as their 2025 season so painfully proved, is the simple, unpredictable nature of player health the one variable that is completely and totally outside of their control. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Thanks for watching.